email. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. I know that the holiday season can be very busy, so we appreciate you giving us some time today, and we'll make sure that we hit the highlights of this new release here, which we are very excited about. So at a high level, we're going to run down really the big features of this release. If you have any questions about some of the more detailed, smaller features and bug fixes and all of that, you can always visit our support forum, which we'll link to at the end of the presentation, and we will share these slides out on SlideShare as well, so that you can take a view of those and get out to any of the links in the presentation later on. So the major one that we're really excited about is our integration to Jenkins and Bamboo. So this is going to push the results of any tests that you are running through Jenkins and Bamboo into qTest, and we're really excited about the implications and what that means for qTest and the value that it provides in organizations that are moving towards continuous integration and DevOps and things that obviously we hear a lot in the Agile market. So this is obviously a really big one for us, and we'll spend a lot of time there today. We've also got some cross-project report enhancements. So we did previously have more of a data view of some of the cross-project metrics that you'd be looking at from a testing quality perspective, but now we're bringing a lot to the table with graphs as well as filters and other things that you're used to within individual projects in qTest, and the ability to look at a lot of those same metrics across projects, which is obviously great for us as we move into organizations that are looking to do things like scaled Agile and manage things at more portfolio or project level. We've updated our integration with JIRA, so obviously JIRA is very popular amongst our customers, and I see a lot of customers on the line here today that use JIRA. So you'll be really excited about the visibility that we provide in terms of the data that we are now putting into JIRA about test runs and test logs that are living in qTest but linked to JIRA defects and other issue types. For those of you using qTest Explore, we have a great new quick start feature which automatically starts a recording anytime you hit a selected app, or for the Web Explorer, a selected website that you're interested in capturing. So given that the tester has Explore installed either on the desktop or on the web, they'll be prompted automatically to record a session, which really helps to foster the use of Explore within your teams and standardize that and make sure that people aren't forgetting to leverage that powerful tool when they're going out and doing their testing. For qTest Insights, which many of you have seen as the new name for QMap, which was rolled out just given the higher level visibility that we think that this platform will provide and things beyond just a map. We have brought out a rule generator, which is very powerful, and I'll go through quickly for those of you using QMap. That should make it very easy for you to get started with any new maps that you build and help to build a more accurate map. We got a lot of feedback around that during the process of launching and rolling out qTest Insights. And then finally, we have a brand new product called qTest Scenario, which we're really excited about, and we think addresses a market that is currently not served in terms of the BDD, which is behavior-driven development, and ATDD, acceptance test-driven development market, and we think we'll be the first end-to-end plugin to be able to support those types of organizations. So we're very excited about the prospect of rolling this out. It was just launched into the marketplace a few days ago, so many of you may not have heard about it yet, but it is out there. We would definitely encourage you to try it and give your feedback so we can help launch this thing and make it as big as possible. So now I'll jump into each of these kind of bigger features in more depth, and again, feel free to launch any questions that you have through the questions box on the side panel here. So the first one that I'm going to talk about more in depth is just the Jenkins and Bamboo integration. In terms of the feedback from our customers and what we've done analysis-wise, we know that the majority of our customers using one of these two products are using Jenkins, so I will focus on that today, but the process for Bamboo is very similar as well. So from a Jenkins perspective, to integrate with Jenkins and Bamboo, there's really 3 steps to that process. So, first of all, the reason why you would want to do this is that we know that a lot of teams are moving towards continuous integration in DevOps. So they've got a number of tests, build tests, for example, that are running inside of Jenkins or Bamboo, and there's reporting on which tests run successfully and which ones fail, but there's not visibility, one, to what those requirements and what those defects trace to. from a perspective of how to actually build end-to-end traceability around those build tests and what the impact is if any one of those build tests ends up failing. And number two is that we have no consolidation, right? So we're looking for consolidation of build tests along any more ad hoc automation that we're running, manual tests we may have, exploratory tests, UAT. And so if we have all of that data living in one world over in Jenkins or over in Bamboo, it's very hard for us to get a sense of our holistic testing progress. We end up with a lot of things that don't get tested or they get tested twice or three times. So we're trying to build a complete picture there. So this is what putting this integration in place will do for your team if you're using either of those two tools for more of the CI approach. So the first thing is that now when you go into our automation settings, you will see a new section for the CI integration. So first you'll have to turn that on and activate it. The second step is to install and configure our plugin, whether that's the Jenkins plugin or the Bamboo plugin, and they're both easy to find in the plugin marketplaces for those two tools. And then the third is that then you'll start seeing the results pushed back into qTest. You'll be able to trace those automation test cases that are created back to requirements. You can trace the test runs that are created out to defects, and you can start building that full picture of traceability there. So first, we install the Jenkins plugin first we actually activate the qTest results here inside of the automation settings. So here you'll see that there's the CI tool integration down here. You can turn this on, and it's very similar to turning on the automation integration in that you just slide the button to the left there. You'll see this per project, so you need to turn on the CI tool integration per project. So each Jenkins build server will relate back to a single qTest project. You can relate it back to multiple, but obviously the alignment typically would be between one Jenkins server, one qTest project. You turn it on here, and you can choose from one of two options. So one is either that you have all of the results come back into one test suite per release. So basically, it will create a new test suite each release as you're going in and doing the build testing, and it will consolidate the results there. Or if you're looking for more of that trend view over time, what you'd be looking at is a single test suite, which is the second we selected here. These results will just live out of one suite, so you'll have an entire history from the time you install the Jenkins plugin and turn it on to current date of test runs, and you can look at the trends per each test there. And we do also have a new report, which you'll find, which is called the CI tool report that you can export. That's Excel report to show you this trend data about particular tests and how they relate to builds as well. And then actually the second step here is to install this plugin. Very easy to install. Just go to this link here, and you can work with your Jenkins administrator to install that. You can also install the Bamboo plugin. It's in the approval process right now, but through the place you can install that there as well, and there's more details about that in the support forum. And then there's a brief configuration here. I really would urge you to look at the support documentation. It's very detailed on how to get this set up. But basically it requires the qTest URL as well as similar API key that we use for leveraging the APIs. And then you can select the project in qTest that this will get sent into once you retrieve your data and get that list of projects. You can also select the current release. So that helps us in saying all these results from Jenkins, what release should they be associated to? And then as you progress from one release or one sprint to the next, you can just update this inside of Jenkins so that the results go there automatically, or you could drag and drop the suite from release to release as well if you want to do that. And also there's an environment field here that you can fill out. So if you're using this for reporting purposes, your environment that you're testing in gets reflected back into qTest, and then that is attributed to the results and the reports the right way. And then finally, you'll actually get the results into qTest, which I don't have pictured here, but a very straightforward process. We create a suite, and it's underneath the release that you call out there as the active release, and you'll have all the results of your test. Every test case will be reflected there as a test run, and then every time you continue to rerun that test case, that will be a new log of that test So what we're trying to do is provide a very complete picture of your testing activity so that, again, nothing gets lost in terms of getting tested and that nothing is getting retested either. So any questions about that, just feel free to send those through the questions section. I haven't seen any questions get raised yet, so I'll just stop to make sure. Is the audio and presentation still working correctly? Okay, great. So it sounds like you guys are still there. Just straightforward and no questions about that yet. So the next one that I'm sure a lot of you guys are interested in is the cross-project reporting. So obviously this is huge for enterprises that are looking at scaled agile, looking at ways that they can do sort of portfolio project level management, visibility of their testing. So what we've come out with is a feature that allows you to group projects together. Then you can map the values and statuses to one standard set of values, and then you can share these groups that you create with people so that they can view selected reports about those particular groups. So the reason we take this approach is that in qTest you could have different custom statuses, different custom fields, values, etc. from one project to the next, and to create one holistic picture of the release and the quality of the release, for example, across all those projects. We need to have one definition of what's passed, what's failed, what's blocked, what's incomplete, etc. So what we do is allow you to map all the statuses from each individual project into one group status that we set, and that allows us to do that magic of doing this cross-project reporting. So first you would create a group, and so when you go into the admin section, you do have to be a site admin to create these groups within qTest. You can go in here and you'll see that there's a list of projects shown. This is going to show you all projects in your site. You can go ahead and search for that particular project or projects to add into the group. And this step is really mapping the statuses, as I mentioned. So you'll go through here and before status, for example, there's a pass, an incomplete, and a block that we will report on. And so here I've selected two projects for my group, this Project A Agile project as well as the Waterfall project. And so those may have different statuses, and I may want to map those back to one consolidated status here. And so what I would do then is I come over here to the drop-down, and per each project I'll choose that, passed and, completed here, for example, both attribute back to this higher level status for the group of passed, and it allows me to sort of roll up and create one definition of my statuses that then you can report on across these projects. And then you'll see, once you've created the group, which is really defining which projects are in the group and mapping the statuses of that group, that then you'll be able to share the group. So there's really two ways that you can share the group within qTest so that people can access this group and view the reports on it. So one is that you could create a user profile, or you may have a user profile created already. For example, you might have like an Agile project manager profile that you want to share this group with. And so you could go select that profile from here, and once you select it, it'll share this group automatically to everyone who has that profile. So that's one way that you could accomplish this. The other one is that you can actually select individual users, and so in that case you would go through here and you can search for the particular users you're looking for and add them one by one. So for larger companies, the profiles option might be the easiest or most efficient way, but for smaller companies or companies that aren't really defining those profiles in such a granular way, it may be easier to just go through and cherry pick the actual users that you're looking for. And then finally, you'll be able to view the reports. So there'll be a new section once you create a group and share a group with a user inside of the report section of each project. There will be project reports, and inside of the group you'll see that there are, I believe, 3 different cross-project reports, which are all the same as versions of simple project report that we have, that then you can run and see that you get the same type of graph as well as the data grid, which is not pictured here, that comes from our standard report. So that is basically the process of doing this cross-project reporting. And so I believe the cross-project reporting is part of the Elite package which I wanted to note here, is that we do need to make sure that you have the Elite package, and if not, please contact your customer representative. They can talk about how to get you the Elite package or let you try this out if this is something that you're interested in. So that's it on the cross-project reporting. I did hear from some people that my audio is breaking up, so I just wanted to check and see if you guys are having any trouble with that or if it's sounding better now. Okay, seems like the audio is fine, so it might just be one person that was having that problem. All right, so now for the folks that are using the JIRA integration, definitely some enhancements here to be excited about. So what we've rolled out in this release is more detailed status around the test executions that are related to a particular defect or bug that you submit from qTest. So just to familiarize everyone once again, from qTest, you can submit any type of issue into any project in JIRA as a quote-unquote defect. So in qTest, it shows up as that bug icon on the test run, and it links out to JIRA and allows you to go into any project and submit any issue type that you like. And within that, then there is an issue links section where we were previously linking to the test run that had been executed, but there are a lot of requests around wanting to see more about the actual status of that test run, when it was executed, as well as, what test logs contributed to it, right? There could be multiple executions here and retested and passed with one and that from the JIRA. So we've gone it and enhanced operation and enhanced our plugin to now we actually the test logs and shows the execution start and end date as well as the status here. So that's been a good enhancement that we've had to this platform, in terms of the visibility that we provide to developers, and hope that it makes it easier for developers to, at the end of the day, understand, what tests are outstanding and being blocked from any of the JIRA issues that are yet to be resolved. So that one's pretty straightforward. We have another one about defect information here. So looking at, defects from the qTest side, we were unable really to see a cycle level view or suite level view of all of the defects associated to the runs in those cycles or in those suites. So what we've done is added a defect summary window here where basically we show you, this is for a release even, all the defects that have been logged in that release. So for those of you that are a little bit more agile and managing the release object is more of a sprint, it's nice from a retrospective or just a closeout perspective to be able to see, okay, what are all the defects that we've raised from this release and what is the status looking like for all of those defects here. So pretty nice and powerful view that you can use as you kind of manage the cycle or the release to closure and get some feedback and closeout there. And then this is a little bonus one, doesn't have to do with JIRA as much, but a small one I wanted to throw in there because I know a lot of customers are managing test cases in this way and would want to have their test run structure emulate what they've got going on in the test design area. So you can see here when you go and add test runs and you add them via the test cases tree here, which is a test design tree, you'll see that we have the ability now, if you check this box here, to maintain the test design tree. So you'll see if I check this box when test, it will Latin out all of these test cases and they would be added directly below the release here in a flat structure. And what we do is we create those and then we create suites as well to nest the objects in a similar structure to what we have in the test design area. So I know that a lot of you guys will be looking for this enhancement and will be interested that we're releasing this. So any questions, submit those definitely through the questions module. I'm going to check again, having some feedback on audio issues here. So anyone still experiencing audio issues, or is it better? Okay. The other people are having no issues, so I'm just going to assume this is a problem that only certain people are experiencing. All right, so that was it for qTest. If you have any questions and you're specifically interested in qTest and the features there, just go ahead and submit those again to the questions section, and I'll get to those towards the end of the presentation here. We've got about another 15 to 20 minutes tops about some of the Explorer enhancements, qTest Insights, and qTest scenario launch as well. So Explorer Quick Start, this is a neat feature here. I'm showing it at a desktop Explorer level, but basically what you're able to do is map particular applications, target applications, that when those target applications are launched, Explorer will automatically detect that they're launched, ask you to basically start a recording automatically, and that recording gets submitted to a default project that you have selected within your Explorer settings area. So what you can see here is that first you have to select the applications, and so from a desktop perspective, that means going in and actually choosing the executables or choosing the programs that run out of the My Computer or Windows Explorer type of view, and that people know exactly where these applications might be installed on each particular user's computer. So we need to have them go through that process first and define the target applications in that way. And then the second step is to define what your working or default project is, so that you know exactly where you want any sessions that are recorded to go back to. So if you're working in more of a matrix organization and a couple days a week you would be working with one team and then you switch over to another team, and you want to use this auto record feature, you just need to make sure that you are switching that project, that default project in the list, as you are kind of transitioning from one team to another. And then Explorer, from that point forward, once you map that application and said that's the default application that you want to record, it will prompt you every time that application is open to start the Explorer session and record and have the submission go back into the project that you selected as a default project. So pretty nice, and the whole thought of this is that a lot of teams love Explorer and want to use it every day for every manual test session that they have. But a lot of times it's tough for testers, especially when they're first starting, to remember to launch the Explorer. So this makes it more foolproof and kind of adds that additional layer of reminder so that you can build the process across the team. We do also have it for Web Explorer, so we know that a lot of companies are using Web Explorer and obviously would be excited to have this functionality back in their Web Explorer sessions as well. And so what we will be doing here is actually defining websites that we want to capture and saying that particular domains will be captured anytime they're come across. So obviously the tester needs to install the Web Explorer first. It's not going to be able to detect that they've gone to that website until the Explorer has actually been installed on their machine. But once it is, basically what it's doing is constantly waiting to see in the browser if that particular domain gets hit. And if it does, then it sends this pop-up saying, do you want to start a session? In the same way as desktop, it basically will push the session back to your default project that you have defined in your setting or in qTest. So it's obviously different to execute it on versus on desktop. That's a major functionality enhancement for Explorer. And what we'll be talking about next is sort of integration enhancement. So we have had some requests around enhancing the integration with JIRA as well as with HP Quality Center that I'll show you a little bit more about here. So the first one is around JIRA. So obviously we moved to a more native submission format, which is very slick, allows us to support custom fields and the properties of the type of head features and things like an epic link and other fields that are inside a JIRA ticket, which is much easier than sort of building our own native window. But one of the things that we lost, which we wanted to get back, was the ability to update existing issues in JIRA. So that native submission functionality only works for brand new issues, but we couldn't manipulate it the same way for an existing issue. So what we did is actually added logic in here, so now you can use that same native submission form and actually update existing issues in JIRA by entering the issue ID here. And so it's really nice. You'll be brought after this screen to the same type of native JIRA window that you're used to with the Explorer. it'll show you the issue as it stands, and then it'll allow you to edit it and attach any new selected screens, whether that's PDF or Word or JPEG or whatever it is, onto that ticket. So that's obviously really nice and powerful from sort of a retesting perspective if you're using the Explorer to capture your manual retest of any open JIRA issues. We've also updated our HP Quality Center or HP ALM integration here to be able to submit into HPQC or HP ALM version 12.x. So that's the newest version of HP Quality Center that I think has come out about a year or two ago. So when you're setting up your connection, if you're connecting to HPQC 12 or HP ALM 12 and above, you'll need to come into the defect tracker section of the Desktop Explorer and select that you're going to connect to HPQC version 12.x. There's also version 11.x, which we've supported previously, which you can choose as well, and then qTest Explorer will use correct integration scheme depending on whether you're using the newer or the older version of that product. So that's all for Explorer. Two pretty powerful enhancements there. Obviously, the quick start feature is very complex and a lot of work around that, so we're very excited about that. And then from an integration perspective, from you customers that are using JIRA, I think you'll find a lot of value in being able to update those tickets, and definitely looking to get feedback from HP ALM 12 customers on how that works. We have betaed that demo out a little, or demoed that integration out a little bit in a beta, but we'd love to get some real-world feedback from any of you guys using that as well. qTest Insights-wise, which was previously QMaps, we do have a new rule generator here. And so the rule generator basically allows you to group screens together. So for a lot of companies that were using QMap, which is now qTest Insights, they wanted to basically group screens together. For example, here, if the screen name title contains the word deals, they wanted to basically group that into one node on the map to consolidate the number of screens that are getting created there. And so you can see here, you can very easily use this rules generator here and build particular rules that create these types of groupings of screens. And then once you've done that, you can actually take, one or more rules and you can create a template. So a template is basically a family or a set of rules that can be used to drive the building of a map. So this can be saved as a template. And the nice thing is that, for example, if you had a QMap for your QA version, as well as your development version, as well as your staging version of the same application, you can apply this template across all of them, so you don't have to constantly build, new rules and new templates per each of them across those and apply tools to standardize, really make that process a lot more efficient of build. And then whenever you generate a new map or create a new map, that you will have a new template here that you can create. You can either use the system template or you can use the custom one that you've created with the rules that you've defined. So that's the big enhancement to qTest Insights. Obviously a lot of logic there, and for qTest Insights customers, we'd be very eager to hear your feedback about that, although we've been in contact with most of you to try this out during the course of the development. So that's all we had on qTest Insights. I'll check again, make sure that the audio is good for everyone on the line before we touch on the last part here with qTest Scenario. Okay, seems like the audio is still good. I just always like to check, make sure I'm not sitting here talking to myself. So qTest Scenario is something that we launched, came out actually over the weekend, but many of you that we saw out at the Atlassian Summit got sort of an early taste of what we were trying to do here. But eventually what we're really hoping to support down the road with this plugin is, all styles of test-driven development. And with this initial launch here, we really focused on behavior-driven development and acceptance test-driven development, which both have a unique type of process in that typically there's not as much of a requirement that is created, but many times it's actually the test specification that is built up front, and then the code is actually written to the test. So it's a little bit different process as we talk to customers that were using qTest, where we have more of a requirements-driven approach like every other test case management tool, we found that that process may not have been the best fit for a lot of these organizations, and that also they wanted to write these Gherkin-style scenarios which don't really have specific test steps, but they have their own given when then format, which is very specific and needs to be written in a certain way, formatted in a certain way for it to be exported into these automation tools like qTest, for example, for them without having errors. And the thing is that we found a lot of them are doing this type of development. They really collaborate there for the entire team, which is something like JIRA. So that was where we came to the approach here of wanting to build out this plugin specifically for JIRA and call it qTest Scenario. And so for any of you guys that are interested, it is available right now on JIRA Cloud and will be coming out shortly for JIRA Server. It is available at this link here. You can also just search for qTest Scenario in the Atlassian Marketplace and you'll find the tool there. And do want to note, just for anyone who is coming to us and wanting to use qTest Scenario and is a current qTest customer today, we are working for the very next release on an integration between qTest and qTest Scenario. And this is what it will look like here. So in qTest Scenario and in JIRA, your stories will become requirements in qTest as they do today. Your features will become test cases. The scenarios will become steps for those test cases, and then the results will become test runs and test logs. So we will have a nice integration there. So for your teams that are doing BDD, ATDD, etc., you will be able to bring those results over and you can house them alongside any manual testing you're doing, teams doing more traditional requirements-driven testing, exploratory testing, UAT, all of that, and obviously the reporting that we can provide within qTest Scenario as a JIRA plugin is somewhat limited, so a lot of the benefits, again, you would get would be out of the more in-depth reporting that qTest would offer. So for right now, I would say good candidates to try this out if you're doing some behavior-driven development. Right now, we do support Cucumber for Java via Maven, but we are looking at building out additional plugins for Gradle as well as JBehave and Spock and some of the other acceptance test-driven development frameworks as well. So that's the high level there. And again, if you have specifics about how to get any of this and install your hands on it, started using new features or products, the place to go to is QASymphony.com. Give our team props in redesigning this website. If you haven't been there in a while, it's easy to find the content that you need, and we've got a lot better structure around all of our guides and resources there, so it should be much easier to navigate, and a lot of great videos that we've got up there as well. So at this point, I will check in here and see what questions we have that I can answer. That's the end of the sort of scheduled presentation, but we do have a lot here that I want to walk through. And so feel free to push in any more questions. We should have plenty of time here to answer these. So the plugin name for BDD and ATDD plugin is qTest Scenario. If you search for QASymphony at the Atlassian in the Atlassian Marketplace, you should find it. It's one of the few plugins that we have there. Another question about sharing the PowerPoint. Absolutely, we'll make this available on SlideShare so that you can share that there. Regarding qTest test execution status and the tree structure, what happens now that we have this, I believe question is about the test design to test execution. There's going to be no change to your existing tree structure. It's just when you add these new test runs, we'll add them in a way that they won't all be flat and that they'll be in this new structure that we're emulating that would really allow you to organize things better moving forward, but it's not going to do anything for any test runs that you've added in the past to your test execution structure. And I think that's a easier way for us to implement it, and it's better for you to not create confusion and kind of change up what's already been run and organized in the past. The rollout for on-demand customers, I'm assuming that question is actually about self-hosted or on-premise customers. So typically, as we do with all other releases, we look to roll out on-premise about 4 to 6 weeks after the cloud or on-demand version. Cloud and on-demand version officially came out as many users are available to our cloud or on-demand customers today. And when I'm in the server perspective, you'll be contacted by a customer support team to take that upgrade sometime in January. Late January is when we're looking to target that and start the initial installations of the tool. Let me see. Questions about enhancements related to defect and qTest standalone defect module or just JIRA integration. That will work for all defects, so it's not just the defects in JIRA, but the ones that are in qTest will also be shown in that sort of summary view on the suite, cycle, and release. Question about getting a copy of the webinar. Yes, it'll be out on YouTube, and the follow-up email that we send out a couple days from today will have that involved in it. Showing the Jenkins integration, how it actually looks when Jenkins sends the JUnit results. For that question, I'll contact you with the Kunal directly. We can have the customer success team show you an example of that and answer any questions you might have. Can you assign a group to multiple profiles? That's for the cross-project reporting, like QA and developers. Yes, you can assign a group to multiple profiles. It doesn't just have to be one. And you can assign it to profiles and also assign it to individual users as well. Questions about additional features and feedback about the cross-project reporting. We do have a lot of plans and a lot of emphasis going into that moving forward. I'm sure this will not be the last time that we do stuff around cross-project reporting and enhancements there. I'll reach out to you directly, Don. I know you've had some feedback about that, and make sure that our team is with you on that in terms of getting your feedback on what we have so far, so that we can prioritize that going forward. And for everyone else as well who's interested in cross-project reporting, please do give it a try and let us know what feedback you have as you start to use this inside your organizations. And we obviously always hear that even better. Okay, if automation is mainly regression testing, could we associate it with the last release? For right now, we have to do this sort of manual approach of you having to set the release that you want the results to go to, either in Jenkins or in Bamboo, because there's a lot of complexity with potentially having overlapping releases, etc. But in the future, that might be something we're able to provide. We can't provide it today, just the level of complexity there. We wanted to make sure we got something to you guys that works, and that we do have, very easy ability to switch the releases there as you move from one to the other. But that is a good point, and we'll certainly look into that in the future if we can wrap our arms around that one. More questions about qTest scenario running from JIRA. James asked that. James, I'll be happy to reach out to you with a video showing that, and we can schedule some time for a demo as well. And then finally, can you jump directly to version 7 from any version of 6? I'm assuming that is a question that is more around the qTest on-premise or qTest that's hosted on your own servers. Yes, the versions of 6 will all be compatible going to version 7. So when we give you the installation package there and support you through that upgrade, should work just fine. But as always, we are there for you as you go through the process of the upgrade. So yeah, it looks like you're on qTest on-premise, Aaron. So yeah, we're happy to support you with that process, obviously, and you should be just fine going from 6 to 7 there. So that looks like everything we had for questions. Again, most of you probably have our support email, but that's support@QASymphony.com. So as you go out and start using these new features and you have feedback about, how they could be better, or, trying to find out more about how to use these things, feel free to reach out to us and let us know, and we'll be, responding to those tickets as quickly as we can. Thank you all enjoy enjoy the holiday season and get some good rest and relaxation in. And we look forward to talking to you at release. Thank you for your time. I'll go soon. Bye.